Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first interview of our series in interviewing personalities for CARaDOC 2021. My name is Anis Rawi, and I am your host today. And my guest is Julien Hering. Hello, Julien.
Hello, how are you, Anis?
I'm fine. What about you?
Yes, I'm very pleased to be here and thank you for the invitation.
So today we invite you to talk about something named Tree of Science and your relation to it. Can you tell us first who you are?
Yes, so Julien Hering, I'm French. I'm born in Strasbourg, and I made my PhD in defenses in 2004 in neuroscience in Paris in a lab in École Normale Supérieure, but I was linked to UPMC University. And after I made 6 years, I made different postdocs, short, and the longest was in Pasteur Institute. And I was also researcher in Japan for some months in 2002. Yes. And now I founded the Tree of Science in 2013. Start 2012, but it was officially founded in 2013.
So it has been 7 years since you founded Tree of Science. What is it? What is Tree of Science?
So Tree of Science, the idea is to support researcher, and my idea was coming from my background as a researcher. The things I saw during my research, my postdocs, and my international experience, and what happens during the PhD, specifically my postdoc with the groups of support I founded called Collective Papera, who was supposed to support a young researcher with their problem in their life, with their supervisor universities, and learn a lot about how to support any field of scientists and to the power of digital. Because to be able to communicate between fields, because with any field there are different ways to work. The timeline during the day are very different. So the idea was to communicate through a website. So I found the power of digital very obvious to talk between researcher and problems specifically. And after, with my own experience, when I wanted to go out academia and the use of digital networking. So that's a link that everything come in my mind to say, okay, digital researcher and the different problems that I have to solve during their career and as a researcher or go outside. It was very obvious to create the Tree of Science to support researcher in digital tools or practices.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, you did mention that you created something named Collective Papera, right?
Yeah.
During your PhD.
Yeah, during my postdoc, in fact. We started in 2008. It was around the movement of the new law in France called LRU for autonomy of university, and with big problematic on the big, we are very afraid as postdocs or PhD students of what is the future of research, and we wanted to have a voice and to be different as other association, collective of researchers. We wanted to be very close to the problem of young researcher and to support them and to put it in the debate about this new law. And because this law was very important for PhD, because it's the start of the contrat doctoral, the new way of contract PhD students. Before it was grants, and after it was contract. So it was a very hard time to discuss this and the future of PhDs, and it was very amazing to make a conference to discuss with so many PhD students and postdocs about their problem and this problem specifically.
Yes, right, indeed. most PhD students are bound to the doctoral contract, and I'm pretty sure that interested them. This is why they are here they are here today to hear more about it, more about you, talking about your experience. So you actually said that you transited from academia to the industry or business. How did you live that? Was there anything particularly hard or any special mentions?
At the beginning, to be honest, I didn't think about really the difficulties. I was just in my vision of supporting researcher, and I was very enthusiastic about my experience with digital tools, networking. Specifically, I meet and discuss with so many people around the world with my research of postdocs, with some scientific networking. Or for when I was looking in for a position in academia, or when I was inside the consulting, like a consultant in my field, like a freelance. So it was so I was so enthusiastic about sharing this with scientists, and was so sure that it will help them in their day life and in all the process of research, that I didn't think so much about the difficulties about creating a company. I was thinking on the model of startup. Why? Because I was thinking with my experience of Papera. That's the support of what helped me in my process of thinking how to create it, because I was very convinced that to support researcher, I have to be online, to be able to support any researcher anytime, anywhere, because even in France, but also internationally, PhD students have different moments to be available, to be supported by different ways, services or information. So it was obvious for me to be digital. So digital, it's better to use the model of startup. So that's why I was looking for some support. I discussed with people in Ile-de-France in innovation, and after I joined an incubator.
Okay, so a digital startup that has goals and values. What are the goals and values of Tree of Science?
The real goals is to find the real goals. The vision of Tree of Science is to make all researchers enter into the new era of digital, because we have marketing, communication, a lot of field in a business that are very made. They made the transformation, the digital transformation, but research not enough. And you have even studies showing in the academia showing that only 50% of researchers really use digital tools to work. And sometimes they just use bureaucratic, I would say, very basic bureaucratic tools like Word, Office Pack to work. But you have so much dedicated tools for researchers. So the vision is to make them use democratically this kind of tools, and also the practices, and change their mind about how to make research in the 21st century with all these tools, to be more collaborative, more open. And the aim so is to use any ways to achieve these objectives. So services, platform, anything possible. And it's the very the thing very deep inside Tree of Science mission.
So thank you for the answer. I'm feeling, or as I understood, that you worked a lot with PhD, that you help them train, if I understand. And so according to you, what are the difficulties that PhD detainers face while searching for jobs?
Yes, I've made a lot of, I don't know, hundreds of PhD student training, because PhD programs, organizer ask a lot for training PhD students. So that's why, but I train also academic researcher with stable position also. PhD students, they are facing a lot of problems. They have a time problem because they have to defend their thesis in a short time. So they don't have a long-term view, only on their career, but not in their PhD. They have the contract, as we said before, is limited. Even some have no contract, but even them, they have a pressure to finish. So the training I perform with them are mainly on to be more productive. And of course, PhD program asks me a lot about two main problems, main issues that can face PhD students to go in another position in academy, but also to go outside academy. It's find a new position or find a position outside academia. And to solve this, you have two problems to face: your visibility on visibility on e-reputation, because it's very important to be visible on internet today, and of course to build a network, because 90% of the position of the offers, job offers, are not on the market. You don't find offers on the websites. So networking, it's critical to find a job today, and specifically with the high-level job you can expect as a PhD. So this is the main two things that PhDs or postdocs have to think about and work on, and their visibility, reputation on internet. So, and networking, it's very critical.
Okay, so visibility and networking through digital tools, right? Thank you. I also noticed that Tree of Science and you have spread a lot of messages about open science, and I'm wondering, what is open science, and can you tell me more about it, please?
Yeah, it's the second part of the mission of Tree of Science. It's very linked. I was talking more about digital tools because it's the first step. But open science, it's an umbrella word, if I can say it. It's an umbrella word because you have inside a lot of things, and but everything is linked to open. And why open science? Because science, basic science specifically, it's a common good. So it's for everybody. It's paid by people, by taxes and government, and should be available for everyone. And open science, inside open science, we have a lot of words. The most famous is open access, to have access to publications, because most of the publications are not accessible by researchers themselves, because even researchers, you have to pay, and after to pay to read the article, and for outside academia. And that's a big problem. Because if you don't have access to publications, you don't have access to results of science, and it's complicated to make innovation based on basic research. And after you have other things inside, you have open research, open code, you have a lot of even open education is inside, and you have what was called in 2016 the practice FAIR, for findability, accessibility, interoperability, and reuse. These 5 words define, for me, a good way to define open science, because you have to find the results, the data, they have to be accessible, so the good format with the documentation, and they have to be interoperable, because if you have data but you can't open the files or can exploit the data, it's a problem, and be reusable, because even industry, they can't make always basic research. They need the link with academia, and the science need to be reused by anybody. It could be industry, it could be association, or NGO, or people like citizens who think about citizen scientists. So open science, it's very, very important today. And it's so important that it's we have talked about inside the science community about open science or a reproducibility crisis. It was a big, the main page of Nature review some years ago, about the reproducibility crisis, because even 50% of the academic researchers that think the science is not reproducible. And the difference, just to be clear, the difference between we have reproducibility. Well, what is reproducibility is use the data, the protocol, the method of our paper, our research, our results, and be able to find the same results. And you have replicability, with to make the experience again by yourself. You use your own equipment, your methodology. You have the same objective. You want to test the same hypothesis and be able to find the same. And it's one of the basic things inside science. So it's very, very important.
I see. That is impressive. That's a lot of, it's a very vast topic. And I think for the next part, thank you for introducing yourself and your work. Now we will talk a little more about, in little more details about how did you found a startup and what is it being an entrepreneur?